Mikal Bridges is one of the best two-way wings in the game today. And recently, he was on a podcast speaking about the Knicks, his love of MSG, and hoping to be a New York Knick. We're also going to look at a potential backup power forward that Bleacher Report suggests the New York Knicks should target. We're going to break all of this down and more today. Let's get started. Mikal Bridges apparently wanted to be a New York Knick. Now, he was recently on the Run Your Race podcast, and on that podcast, he was speaking about being drafted and wanting and hoping to be a New York Knick, but unfortunately, his name wasn't called by New York. Roll that clip.
I thought I was gonna go to New York at 9.
Yeah.
I was excited though, because I wanted to go to the Knicks. I wanted to be in New York. I'm like, oh, that's lit. Like, still close to home, but kind of a little further out, which is cool.
That's still close.
Which is cool. And I love MSG. Like, all my best games in college.
Gotcha.
Like, Big East tournament was there.
Facts.
And so I'm like, all right, go 9. Like, I want to go 9. I know Chicago ain't gonna get me at 7. Like, I'm old. I'm 4-year, but they ain't gonna get me at 7.
Yeah.
Right. They got Wendell Carter. 8, Cleveland. I ain't wanna go. Bron just left. Like, they going. I'm like, I don't want to go to Cleveland. They got Colin Sexton. So now it's 9-10. So now it's like New York's up. Sitting at the green room table, sitting with my agents, my mom and stuff, just like, it might be here.
Yeah.
They like, look, they kind of know before, and just like shook their head. Took Kevin Knox. So I'm like, all right.
That last part where he says, took Kevin Knox. All right. That all right is basically all New York Knicks fans watching their screen at this moment. Kevin Knox? Yes. We selected Kevin Knox over Mikal Bridges. Now I know, hindsight. At the time, we didn't know Mikal would be this version of Mikal. Mikal Bridges, as soon as he went to Brooklyn, went off. Now, he was always a capable defender. He was Iron Man. This is one player in the NBA that has not missed a single NBA game in their entire career. He is Iron Man. We didn't know this before we drafted Kevin Knox. Clearly, we didn't know that. But besides being Iron Man, he's always been a top-notch, capable defender. But with Phoenix, he took it to the next level, and he became a dominant defensive player with good offensive upside. But we didn't know how far he could take it offensively because we just never saw him do that. He was never given the reins to do that in Phoenix because he wasn't looked at as the guy in Phoenix. They had Devin Booker, they had DeAndre Ayton, they had Chris Paul come in, they traded for Kevin Durant, so there really wasn't a need for Mikal Bridges anymore. Unless you're looking only on the defensive end, because defensively, you can make the argument there's always a need for Mikal Bridges. But they initiated a trade, they sent Cam Johnson, and they sent Mikal Bridges to Brooklyn. They got KD in that particular deal, and now Brooklyn has a surefire star or potential star in Mikal Bridges. Because as soon as he touched down in New York, I don't know if it was New York or Brooklyn or just having his own team, but it unlocked him, and he turned into a demon on the offensive side, still kept his defensive tenacity and instincts, so he became and turned into one of the best two-way players in the game today. For Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges averaged 26.1 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists during 27 games in Brooklyn this past season after being traded for Kevin Durant in a deal. Now, this is important to note. He was traded to his own team, a new team, and he went off. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds like Jalen Brunson. And aren't they friends? Oh yeah, they're former Villanova stars together. They won together. That relationship and connection is there. So he has the relationships. He has the connections. He loves MSG. He wanted to be a Knick. He just told you he expected to be a Knick. He loves playing at MSG. He wanted to be a New York Knick. And the Knicks drafted Kevin Knox and did not draft Mikal Bridges. Oh, and to make the story even better, we don't even have Kevin Knox anymore. We traded him to get Cam Reddish, who we don't have either because we traded a first-round pick to get rid of him to get Josh Hart. Are you following all those moves? We had to do all of that to end up where we are now, when we could have just drafted Mikal Bridges and had the perfect fit for the New York Knicks team as it sounds today. Because you could make the argument that the perfect complementary piece, the next piece the New York Knicks need to add to this team to make them a contender, is Mikal Bridges. If he was on this team in its current capacity, in the type of player he is right now today, this Knicks team is a contender and it looks different. That's how impactful he is. But we're dreaming right now. We should have drafted Mikal Bridges because that's how we would have had him. Now, he's on Brooklyn. You know who's not going to do a trade with the New York Knicks? Brooklyn. So as long as Mikal Bridges is a Brooklyn Net, he might be in New York. He might be close by to hang out with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Donte DiVincenzo to have a Villanova reunion. But he will not be a New York Knick. He would have to be traded to another team or explore free agency for that to become a possibility. But it breaks my heart to look at things like this. You're hearing key top-level talent tell you that they wish they were drafted by New York, and they weren't. And now we have to wait for these stars that we should have drafted to become available again and hope we don't have to pay too much or give up too much to get them as part of our roster. But for me, missing on Mikal Bridges was one of the biggest travesties of the New York Knicks organization, similar to how they missed on Donovan Mitchell when they could have drafted him. For me, it's on the same tier. That's how heartbreaking this is for me. Mikal, I wish you well, and I hope one day to see you in a New York Knicks outfit. JaMychal Green could be the Knicks' next free agent target. Now, there's a couple of free agents we need to look at because now with the New York Knicks trading Obi Toppin away, there is a void to fill at a backup power forward. And there's a lot of names that's been thrown out there. But Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report recently looked into this, and he gave his best answer in regards to who he thinks the New York Knicks should go after next to fill that void at backup power forward. According to Bleacher Report, the New York Knicks should target JaMychal Green in free agency to sign to fill the need at the backup 4 spot since Obi Toppin was traded. Now I hear and understand that, and there's a couple of reasons why Bleacher Report stated that the New York Knicks should do that. Zach Buckley gives the following information on that. According to Zach Buckley, the 33-year-old JaMychal Green is a quick thinker on offense and a capable switcher on defense, and typically an above-average shooter from distance. If his shooting holds up, he's hit 37+% from range in 4 of the past 5 seasons. He could add a stretch element to the front court of the New York Knicks. That is a possibility. Now, I know you're telling me, you're already getting at me. His age, Troy, he's 33, doesn't fit the timeline. Well, here's something to note. Yes, he's 33, but who does he play behind? Julius Randle, right? Who normally leads the league as a leader in terms of minutes logged per game? Julius Randle, right? So even if we're adding somebody for the backup power forward position, we have to understand it's legitimately a backup role. We're not going to want that player to do anything else. And if you're going to be a backup solely to Julius Randle, then we saw with Obi Toppin, your minutes might be capped to 15 to 16 minutes per night. And you better be happy with that, because if you complain, you're likely still not going to get any time. Again, go see Obi Toppin, who is now an Indiana Pacer because of the fact he couldn't get mostly any playing time with the New York Knicks as a backup power forward to Julius Randle. So the person you bring in needs to be comfortable with a backup role and needs to be comfortable in playing burst minutes off the bench. JaMychal Green checked those boxes. His defense is great, and I think that would be very favored under Tom Thibodeau. That's the first thing. But the second thing is you might be able to run a small ball lineup with JaMychal at the 4 and Randle at the 5, or vice versa. Randle at the 4 and Green at the 5. You could switch, But I think you'd be able to do that more with JaMychal Green than you could do with Obi Toppin, just because I feel Tom Thibodeau believes in JaMychal Green just a little bit more than Obi Toppin in terms of defense. So maybe that could be a possibility for Thibs if JaMychal Green is on the team. But knowing how Tom Thibodeau works, he normally likes those traditional centers. And since that is the case, he's likely not going to go away from that formula. So I would think that JaMychal Green coming to the Knicks would essentially mean he is playing an Obi Toppin role. And you know what? For Golden State last year, he essentially did that. For Golden State, he averaged 6.4 points, 3.6 rebounds, 0.9 assists in 57 games in 2022-2023 with the Warriors. So clearly he is capable, and we do see that there was a role for him on a championship culture team like the Warriors. So if they had a role for him, the New York Knicks absolutely have a role for him. I do like this move recommended here by Zach Buckley from Bleacher Report regarding the Knicks adding JaMychal Green to their squad. Because as you can clearly see here, with the Golden State Warriors, he was doing essentially what we need him to do for the Knicks. JaMychal Green being a veteran, being a capable defender, and being okay with playing 14, 15, 16 minutes a night, especially under a power forward like Julius Randle, is exactly the type of backup that we need for the New York Knicks. And I think JaMychal Green is a great prospect and a great name to put out there for the New York Knicks to sign in free agency. That's a great choice by Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report because, again, it's low cost, it fills a void, and fits a need. I think this checks a lot of boxes, and you need another backup power forward now. You just gave away Obi Toppin to the Indiana Pacers for 2 future second-round picks. And now you need somebody else to play the backup for. Please to God, do not put Isaiah Hartenstein or Jericho Sims at the 4 and think you're okay. Get, sign, and add a capable backup 4 to this team. Do not try to move somebody who's a natural 5 to a 4 and ask them to play the 4 and experiment with that, because it might not work and might lead us in the wrong direction. And we don't need another season of doing great only to do bad the next season after. We don't need that to be a consistent trend. The Knicks have a chance here to sign some key free agents to make the Knicks roster better as we move forward into next season. But they can easily make the wrong decision if they're not focused and locked in to the moves they're making. And over the next few days, we're going to really see what moves the New York Knicks are going to make as we move closer and further into this offseason. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.